Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. Now 6.2 brought with it Timewalker dungeons, and let's be totally honest here, they have arrived very lukewarm indeed, unlike today, which is boiling. But it's quite easy to see why it's had this sort of reaction, because to be perfectly honest with you, Blizzard have done the bare ass minimum that they possibly could with Timewalking dungeons. They have literally just scaled stuff down. There's nothing really exciting or dynamic about that, because at the end of the day, this isn't going to be any sort of nostalgic trip down memory lane, because the game has changed dramatically since the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King. You are never going to recapture those moments, so intrinsically this is what it is. Content which people have done a gazillion times before over the course of multiple years, and the face walk. They really are. Now, I personally believe Timewalking could have been brought in to the World of Warcraft, but had a much more prominent role. Not prominent enough to take away from all the current content that they really want you to be doing, but prominent enough that it has a legitimate place within the World of Warcraft. And although we have done these dungeons time and time again over the course of the last few years, put enough of a twist on it so new players might be rather excited by this proposition, and older players can at least look at it and go, okay, this is something a little bit different in content that I'm very familiar with. So, what I did is I took a couple of hours and I started to brain fart with myself, and I tried to come up with some ways which I thought Timewalker dungeons could be reinvented for the World of Warcraft. So this is how I would have introduced it to the game. Now, first things first, I would have actually done away with the Wrath of the Lich King Timewalker dungeons, and instead just made sure all of the Burning Crusade ones were done. The reason why: the Burning Crusade and Warlords of Draenor have a link. The Burning Crusade is a fragment of a destroyed planet Draenor, and Warlords of Draenor is, derp, focused on and centered on the whole planet of Draenor on an alternative timeline. So they do have something which links them together. The way that I would have gone about it is I would have made Timewalking a reputation. Now, this reputation would also have a twist of a meta achievement. So, first of all, it could be relevant in the current content that we're doing, but the meta achievement could allow this to still be utilized in other expansions going forward, and at the same time, something to aim for, to look for in the future that would offer a very, very decent reward indeed. So, you would go through the trash as we've just done now. Bear in mind I would be scaled down to level 70 and in a party. A full party of 5 people. Tank, 3 derps and a healer. We would then start at the very first section of one of the 16 dungeons which the Burning Crusade brought us. I know that seems a huge number now in today's day and age. And once you've fought your way to the first boss, gone through all the trash, engage in combat. This is a dramatic representation of what Timewalking is like on the live servers. Alright, maybe it's slightly harder. But you would just kill the first boss and then go on as normal. This is where my first major difference would kick in. You see, that corridor in front of us would be blocked off. You wouldn't be able to progress any farther forward. And after you defeated the first boss, a portal would appear where the exit to the next section would be. You and your crew would then jump into the portal, and it would take you to a different section of a different dungeon based in the Burning Crusade. So it could take you anywhere, for argument's sake. So in this example, it's taken us to the Shattered Halls, and you'll notice that the first boss has gone. That has been locked off. We cannot access that portion of the dungeon. No, we've got to go through the Gauntlet of Flame and defeat Bloodguard Parung, who's at the end there. That is our next section to go through. And the way that this would actually work is you would follow a 4-boss strategy. So once more, you would fight your way through the trash here, here. And when you are fighting your way through the trash here, you're getting reputation. You're getting small reputations, nothing massive, 2 to 3 rep per mob. Nothing massive, but because there's going to be plenty of trash which you'll no doubt fight your way through, it will accumulate a little bit. And each boss that you're defeating will drop roughly 250 to 350 reputation, depending on how it would work out once tested. But then, when we get to the next section of the next boss, defeat the next boss, it would repeat the cycle. The section going into the next area would once more be blocked off and we wouldn't be able to obtain access into it. And when the boss falls dead, lo and behold, the portal would be waiting for us once again. We would loot the boss and then go through the portal to the third section. Now, I know that what I'm doing right now isn't reinventing the wheel. I fully understand and appreciate that. But what I'm just trying to consider here is the fact that we have done these dungeons time and time again. I'm not trying to insult the audience by saying, hey, look, it's something completely different and new because I've scaled you down. No, I'm just trying to say, look, I understand that we've done these many times before. What I'm trying to do is just put a little bit of a spin on it to try and keep it a little bit random and a little bit fresh for you, and at the same time tie it into the current content by making it a reputation, ergo having to gain your reps by killing the trash, killing the bosses, maybe doing a daily or two that's linked to the dungeons. And then of course when you go through the reputation brackets, the quartermaster will have some goodies for us. A mounted exalted that's not a fucking hog. Something maybe like a time walking transmogrification weapon at the end of it as well. Challenge mode people just shatter brick, but something that would make it intrinsically feel time walky. And then of course when you defeated the third boss, when you spin around to try and go to the next section, lo and behold, the portal is once more back, and you would go into the fourth and potentially final section of my time walking dungeons. Now I say potentially last because some of the dungeons in the Burning Crusade actually had 5 bosses as opposed to 4. So what I would propose here is a little bit of RNG lottery. Why not? After you've defeated the 4th and final boss of your Timewalker dungeon, it would have an X% chance, just off the top of my head, something along the lines of about 15% currently. Maybe if it doesn't proc, you'll get an extra 5% per week until it does, but approximately a 15% chance to proc another portal, and that portal would take you through to a random 5th boss only. So it wouldn't take you through to like a random any zone like this could. It would take you through to a random final 5th boss of a dungeon. That way you could always make sure that they're dealt with, and if you weren't lucky with your RNG drop, no harm, no foul, you've still got the other stuff to worry about. And of course, if you were to get it, it gives you a little bit more rep, so it just helps you a little bit further. The rep from the trash and also the additional rep from a 5th potential boss. One of the beauties of this as well is it doesn't interfere with grouping up with lower level characters, because this reputation is specific to you. So I could still be in a group with a level 72, 84, 96, it doesn't matter. I would be getting reputation with this Time Walker faction. Those people wouldn't. Not until their character had arrived at this specific destination in their gameplay. Also, this meta achievement that I mentioned at the beginning, we haven't had a decent meta achievement in the game since What a Long Strange Trip It's Been, where you had to get all the achievements through doing the world events. Let's face it, the flying meta achievement in 6.2 is merely a gate, and that is it. So what I would like to see is something quite special with this time walking, and that is again why I've decided to just put it at the Burning Crusade dungeons and not add different time walking dungeons in yet. They could come at a later date and have their own meta achievement and own reward. So the way that I would operate this meta achievement is each time you get popped into a zone, into a specific part of that dungeon, it literally crosses it off the meta achievement like it's a bingo card. Bearing in mind that dungeons have 3, 4 and 5 bosses in the Burning Crusade. Once you have randomly managed to go into every single one of those parts, and that will take some time, there is 16 Burning Crusade dungeons all in all, remember, then you would have got this great meta achievement and should be rewarded accordingly. So I'd like to stick a title, I would like to stick a mount, I would like to stick a tabard as the reward, and also, because the art department do such a great job, also maybe have something like a transmog set specifically designed for time walking and specifically designed for Burning Crusade time walking. So it really kind of sets you apart. People will know where you got that set from. And then, like I said, they could do something completely different with Wrath of the Lich King transmog and etc, etc going forward. Now also, bear in mind, this has literally just taken a couple of hours of me sort of brain farting to come up with. Just imagine the real kind of things that you could get out of this if we went into the nuance of it all. If a proper team of developers sat down and went through exciting prospects for content like this, it doesn't take too much at all. And I certainly believe what I've come up with today is definitely achievable with the technology that exists in the game at the moment. There's nothing there which would have to be complete and utterly redone. These people have done things very, very similar indeed to this. There shouldn't be any reason why they couldn't do it right now. But as is, it's just, well, as bare bones can be. We don't have to worry about gear in Time Walking Dungeon 660, 675. It's irrelevant because the game's throwing gear at us already. Baleful gear, mythic dungeons, LFR Hellfire soon, and just normal raiding in Hellfire. Gear isn't a difficult thing to get a hold of in the game. And I haven't even mentioned the Apexis Crystal stuff, which can be purchased with money. So this way, of course, it just adds a different dynamic to a piece of content. Don't get so het up about gear, use it for something else, something quite exciting. And it just breaks the monotony of old content up. And also, if you get bored in the existing content that we have now, it's a great little thing to jump back to. Just think, due to its random nature of putting you into a different part of one of 16 different dungeons leading into whichever boss it may be, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it's going to make every dungeon you go into at least feel different because you have no idea where you're going to end up. And that to me is at least a little bit exciting, at least adds a new fresh dynamic to dungeons which have been done over and over and over again. But I'd love to know what you guys and gals think in the comments down below. Sound any good? Sound like a pile of poo? I'm sure you will let me know, and I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Those links are in the description down below, and I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care, everybody. Bye-bye.